Hello again, this is Steve Dupree of NowEnergetics.com based on YUEN Method. And we're going to do part 3 of this series on allergies. I have a third article that I wrote that's still in progress, but I thought I'd present it and summarize it. So we have 2 other parts that we've gone through with allergies. One of them is the limits of conventional, and I had a second one as well that's up on the part 2 that's up on the channel. So this particular one, this third part is a session that I had with somebody that started in an interesting place, and we did a little bit of work on allergies, and we can see, and we'll go through this particular session, that it uncovered some other things that were somewhat loosely related to allergies. So I thought it was worth going through it for this particular section of the allergies, part 3 of allergies. So let's get started. So this is, again, I haven't published it yet. I have to clean it up a little bit, but I figured the information was good enough that I could show it today. So so a lot of these sessions that I do on the website, the blog articles, you'll see them prefixed with the session. So if you want to read through some of these articles, and some of them eventually maybe I'll embed the related YouTube videos just to make it a little bit easier for folks to listen at the same time and hear my commentary. But sometimes I speak a little bit different than the way I write, but it's just the way it is. So I think we all do that. So so this session started out where we were looking at allergies in general. Someone had a presented story, and they had a lot of intolerances. So some folks are going to have one thing, they're going to have the dust issue or something like that, or animals or something. Some people have an intolerance to many, many different things. So it's, it could have happened suddenly, it could have been their whole life, whatever. So this is the case where someone has many, many different things that they're allergic to. And so in this case here, the story that they relayed was that they, in the past, there was some event and suddenly they became hypersensitive, right? So sensitivities, sensations, all these things are related in YUEN method, right? So, so one of the things was smells, but this particular client had visited some specialists, and like I say here, but either way, regardless of what folks give you for a story, you want to look at the energy and not so much, especially if the story, there's no weakness in the story. So with allergies, for many people, especially if they're severe, it can really affect your daily life routine. So we want to do as much as we can to eliminate those effects. You'll have plenty of other things to work on. You don't want to have to worry about allergies. So so here we go, starting from 0 in a session. One of the things that happens with allergies is we often get the cause and effect chain backwards. So so just remember that, and opposite sometimes comes in too, in terms of what direction something's coming from, because usually the energy is there first to create the manifestation, right? We think the manifestation happens and then we have a pain or something. It's usually the other way around. So it's the same thing with many other things in the method and with energy work, is that most people have it backwards. And how do you know? Well, one thing, you can check it energetically. Number 2 is nothing's changing for them, even though they insist they have an answer, right? So that's kind of, basic principle, what we work with. So this client brought up sensitivity. So they have all of these allergies. They've gone to specialists, and, the person was talking about things piling up. It was already piled up for this person. They had, in a sense, their sensitivity was already very high. So they were talking about chronic things. And of course, chronic, there was no weakness to chronic. So they just had, kind of a laundry list of 10 things that they were allergic to. So when we intuit it, we really, what I picked up was there was kind of a need to fill a bag with things. And in the Western world, or in the American culture, they call it a gunny sack. So a lot of folks will collect things, they'll collect bothers and things, and they kind of gunny sack it and deal with it at one time. Well, problem with doing that is at some point, the whole thing explodes on you, right? If you don't deal with the things as they happen. And of course, when we work with energy, it's always the case. There's some cumulative effect that you're tying into, or some kind of resonance you have with other people, or things like that. So, you know, the notion that you would have no issues, you know, we're always working on something, but there are folks that really, they don't like the number 0. They don't like having none of something. So they have a poverty-stricken kind of mentality. So that's what this person really had. One of their top, probably top 5 things that we worked on was, you know, just having no bothers at all would bother them, right? So it sounds silly, but some people, it bothers them if there's nothing to bother them, right? So they wouldn't even go find someone else's bothers. You know, that's what happens. I'll see something out in the world and someone else is bothered by something, and they just totally tie into that resonance because, you know, they just have to fill their bother bag, you know, so that's just the way it is. So we want to get that person neutral to having 0 of something. And I happen to highlight an article you here. Maybe you can see the link down there. It's I forget what the actual link is, but it's an article that I have about things going to 0. So you can click on that and look at it. So people with the poverty-stricken mentality, that's a real block in their life. You know, you have to be okay with the notion of 0 in order to delete something down to 0, down to minus infinity, right? We've talked about this before. So that was the first thing. And we want them to be neutral and not be bothered. And we would call it physically bothered by someone else's energy too, because a lot of times people worry about having bothers and they worry about other people's bothers. So you want to be neutrally the way to having bothers yourself and to other people having bothers. You want to be neutral either way, right? So when I looked at the energy here, about 90% of it was resonating and pulling in other people's bothers. So they had some bothers themselves, but the fact that you have that bother energy, that it bothers you not to have bothers, you kind of resonate with other people, and then you bring in their stuff. So, you know, you can amplify the problem just by having that non-neutral energy. So that's why we want to get neutral, right? So now we're going to look at opposites. So anyway, so here it says you're actually bothered by other people's bothers more than your own. So here's a person, not only are they resonating out there and they don't even realize they're projecting energy, they're pulling in bothers from other people, and the bothers that that really bothers them is other people's bothers, right? So you don't want to be bothered by other people's bothers either. So we already talked about that, but it was just kind of funny. So that was one thing. So let's see. Yeah, I have this kind of out of order here. There's some issues here with the person sleeping, and I think this was somewhat related to allergies. You know, when people have allergies, you can have trouble sleeping, you can have trouble as you wake up and some sort of thing. But this person was complaining about, you know, going to sleep, and the real problem was just the opposite. It was waking up. So it really bothered this person that they said they couldn't sleep, but it was just the opposite. They don't want to wake up, right? So that's very common. It's one thing, they think it's one thing, it's the other. So, and there's all this energy about waking up and having to be motivated to do something else, or that you wake up and it's like, oh boy, I got to face the world again with all these bothers, right? So the person would say that they can't sleep, but it's really, they can't sleep because they don't want to wake up, right? It's because if you sleep, you have to wake up eventually, you know, unless you pass. So that's what that's all about. So that's a big issue for some people. When you're affected by another energy or collective energies, you're going to be sensitive to everything, you know, and you can't get away from it either. It's going to be with you 24/7, right? Because that energy from other people, you just have your tuning fork out. So we don't want to have that kind of situation in our lives or in our energy. So what I say here, this is actually a pretty interesting one too. When you're reminded of something by someone else's energy, we want to be neutral to not needing a reminder. That's a common thing for people that are holding on to something that you're trying to clear. And it's sort of a perception block that they They need to have a reminder. They don't want to forget something. So they have an issue with their neutrality about leaving something behind, forgetting something, losing something, needing a reminder of something, something like that. So all of those neutralities and their opposites, all those words and their opposites, you want to be neutral to that so you can let something go and not look back for it, right? So a lot of the sentimental energy, and Dr. Yuen would say sentimental sadness, is always about looking back over your shoulder for something, right? You need a reminder. You don't want to forget. You don't want to lose, and all these things. And all these neutralities keep you from shifting, or at least noticing the shift that you may have already shifted, and it's creating a perception block for you. So you don't want to have, in this case here, you don't want to give yourself a chronic condition to remind you. So if you build up that energy, people would say, I have a chronic condition and that's why I have this problem. No, you have the energy that creates the chronic condition to remind you constantly, so you don't want to have a reminder. So we want to get neutral. You don't have to re-experience. You don't have to have a reminder. You don't have to have a breadcrumb. It's okay to let something go and have no issue about forgetting or not forgetting, right? So, and this person, that was a big shift for them. Okay, so, and the other thing is get rid of anticipations and negative expectations. So actually, some people, it's positive expectations weakens them. Something good could happen. They, completely knackered because they think something immediately is going to go wrong, because as soon as one good thing happens, you can't have two good things in a row, right? If you have one good thing, it's because the train's coming, and it's, kind of like deer in the headlights. So that's an important thing to clear for some people when it comes up, and it did come up for this person. So this person was going weak to positive expectations of things getting better. So you don't want to have any blocks there. You don't want to have any blocks to improvement. There are people that have the real basic blocks, and you think it's some big thing, and it's really a cumulative effect of just having, some issue with getting better, in their energy. They don't want to change, because getting better means that there's some change in their life, and maybe other people would notice them differently, and there's some issue with that. So that often comes up. So we deleted that. And we call it the when's the shoe going to drop mentality. There's a couple different ways to couch it, but for a lot of people, they kind of anticipate anything good happening, something bad's going to happen right after that. That's the when the shoe's going to drop. So you don't ever let the good thing happen, because the next thing that happens, the shoe's going to drop. So that's what that saying really means. So let's get the person neutral to not anticipating anything, to accepting a surprise. Well, if you're not anticipating anything, then you have to be okay with surprises, things that pop up, and you can't have your energy in such a way that you cannot be surprised by something, because when you shift, most of the time, every insight should be a surprise, because you don't know what it's going to be. So it's a surprise. So you have to be okay with accepting surprises, right? If you have to, your energy has to be okay with that, and you can't be thinking that something's never going to change, right? Surprise is all about changing in the moment, unexpected, right? Unexpected. That's what a surprise is. So we go into, most of this is not coming from this person, collective female. Things get worse as you get older. So, kind of a human condition kind of thing. In this case, it was collective female for this person that was the bigger effect. And you don't want to internalize any of this stuff, because if it's not your stuff, it's even worse, because it's for most people, it's remote in terms of so you probably heard my stupid phone in the background there, so I'm not going to redo this video just for that. So clearing ourselves versus outside us, YUEN Method focuses on finding the highest effect, biggest influence, and it's often outside us. It's not always inside us. The part of with other modalities is they're always looking at their own energy, work on yourself and all that, and that's great. But if only 5% is you and 95% is from outside you, then the most you're going to clear is 5%. So that's why, it seems like these other modalities don't get results because they don't use any kind of energetic ruler to tell what, how much they actually did and how much is actually coming from outside them. So we always have that in YUEN Method. We have numerical profiling, we have strong and weak, and we can tell how much work we've actually done, to ourselves, and how much is still left to do and where it's coming from. It's always important to know that where it's coming from. So this person also had no sense of smell. Next on their list, where's that coming from? And it kind of took an interesting tangent because the person didn't like noise. And so we went down that, kind of that corridor that they didn't like it when it was noisy. And so the next thing that came up is not allowing others to speak. So it's a karmic, the noise issue, you go a layer deeper, was really about speaking, and it was really about not letting others speak. So there was some issue with, in the past, they had a karmic experience, they had karmic experiences of not letting others speak. So that's kind of putting a limitation on other people. So that's really important to clear, and that really cleared this person for that particular issue. So, and then we did a recap of what, how much of it was coming from that person and how much is coming from outside the person. Most of it was coming from outside the person. So, so again, we're going back and forth here, a little bit of allergy stuff, then the sleep thing that I have to probably edit because it, it's kind of, I don't know why it's kind of mixed around here. So the person has a chronic sleep problem for 20 years. And I kind of made a joke about it, that they're allergic to sleeping. And so they can't, what they mentioned was they can't focus, was the real issue there. And the sleep was, if I don't get enough sleep, I can't focus, that kind of story that you hear a lot with people. So person, talking about being able to focus, being able to concentrate, their memory, that kind of thing. And this APOG gene, which I looked up as well, and there's no weakness around that. So, and for this particular person, they strengthened whatever they mentioned a long time ago. So they had a real issue with misinterpretation because they kept thinking that's what it was, right? So we cleared all the misinterpretation experiences, and actually misinterpretation from other people too, because we can be told things when we were children from our parents. It's just completely wrong. That's misinterpretation too, that we can get from somebody else. So, but we pull on that thread a bit further with focus, and one of the things that came up about focus is not the person's own focus, but other people focusing on them. So when you think about that kind of situation, it's really about a center of attention experience, right? If people are focusing on you, then you're kind of the center of attention. Well, maybe you don't want to be the center of attention. You don't like people staring at you. So that's kind of what came up here. So I just asked the person, because it came up weak for this person, that, I already knew that where it went weak, but I asked the question just to confirm that the person doesn't like being the center of attention. They don't really know why. And then they relate a story of having some skin affliction. I don't know if it was psoriasis or something like that. So they don't want to go out in public when they have a skin affliction. So why do they have a skin affliction? They have a skin affliction. That means they don't want to go out in public. No, they have an energy that they don't want to be the center of attention. That energy is what manifests the physical, right? In this case, they have a skin affliction. So it's the other way around, just the opposite, right? So you think it's coming in one direction. It's actually the energy creating the manifestation. So we kind of explain, where that energy could come from and where that energy is coming from for this particular person. And again, you can think of a skin affliction or psoriasis, something like that, kind of an allergy. So we're still in the ballpark of allergy here with this person. So, let's say they had some issue with people staring at them, and really not just staring at them, but staring at them when they didn't want anyone to stare at them. Like you just got out of bed in the morning, something like that. We have no makeup. Is the example I gave them. So that's what affects that person's ability to focus. So we got them, that person neutral to people always looking at you at the bad time, and neutral to that never happening, right? So you want to be neutral to those two extremes. So, and when I summarize here is it's not, you know, the focus part is not your focus, and it's not because you can't focus, is that you don't like other people focusing on you at the wrong time, and that does affect your ability to focus. So the energy is coming from outside you, but it creates all these manifestations, including her skin, you know, this person's skin condition as well. So, and it was coming from the ancestors and just experiences of being a famous person, right? Or maybe they were a famous person that had a skin infliction, you know, maybe they weren't very attractive or something. So, you know, it could be happening where they, well, let's see. Let's say they were attractive and then suddenly they weren't attractive anymore. Let's say they got into an accident. Okay, I'm just checking the energy now. I'm rolling back the clock a bit. So you could have a situation like that, and that somebody was very famous, an ancestor was very famous, and then suddenly they were no longer attractive for, you know, because they had some kind of accident, let's say. So the other thing that comes up a lot of times with focus and people focusing on you is you don't want to be recognized, right? So there's another second layer of this of recognition weakness. Like if you ever had an experience like that, you walk into a place and it's like, oh boy, I don't want them to know me, who I am here, you know? So it's that kind of energy. So we cleared that layer. So that was a big clearing for this person. And now when we strengthen that energy, that famous person problem, you know, we check back with that person, you know, let's say a month from now and see how their skin condition's doing. Because if you clear that energy that is creating that manifestation, then there should be a change physically as well, right? There should be an immediate sense that something is shifting, maybe in that area that is irritated. They should notice an immediate change. But, you know, over time, you want to, you know, kind of check into it to see how that's going. So sleeping, okay, so sleeping came up again. My mind is racing and they always feel hot. So there was another layer about sleeping. So we cleared the other issues with sleeping, about not wanting to wake up. There was also experiences that you could have when you're sleeping, right? You can have a tornado, you can have a flood, you can have your house, you know, burning down, and not even in this lifetime, in the past, let's say. And when we looked at that, it looked like something came up twice for them, 200 years ago and 700 years ago. So those kind of things happen where you die in a weird situation in your sleep, let's say, and that energy stays with you. So when I kind of go through some of the experience, natural disaster while sleeping, and that also can come from your ancestors. So the person had their own experiences that also ancestor cumulative effect, and it's affecting them beyond infinite. So we delete that and get rid of all the imprints and memories of all those things that the person or their ancestors lived through. And then it's important to look at the Feng Shui too, because if you have that energy, you're going to probably release that in your environment, where you sleep, where you work, where you visit, that type of thing. You also can resonate with other energies that are in physical environments, and it amplifies the symptoms. So we want to be able to clear all of those areas of Feng Shui: home, work, school, visited, read about. You know, some people can get energy just reading about some other place they've never actually been, right? So they kind of hook, their energy kind of resonates and hooks in with that energy. So we want to make sure that's all strong. And we don't get too fancy with Feng Shui. You know, if you're in an environment and you're clearing energy, you know, you just have to notice that it's weak, and then you put its thought there and check it again. And if it's strong, you just move on to the next thing, right? You clear the energy out. And if there are entities or something like that, you want to get them neutral so that they can stay or leave, right? You don't want to do too much with that, you know, it makes a big deal about it. Just if something is there, you just strengthen it so they know they have a choice to stay or leave. And if they leave, that's fine, right? Neutral is stay, not stay, leave, not leave. So, and I relayed this episode of X-Files. There was a soldier, a super soldier there, that they did something to his physiology, so he never slept, so he could fight all the time. I guess that was the idea. And then the other one that I mentioned to this person was this, kind of a famous case of this person in India, and I can't remember his name, but after his wife died, he didn't eat for the rest of his life, and he was always an object of the medical establishment, was always trying to figure out how he could live without eating. So that was kind of an interesting thing. So anyway, so let's keep going. It's kind of a long session here. And then there's also the information effect about having insomnia. So if you have it, if you don't have it, you want to be neutral either way. It's just sleep. And sometimes the pentagon, we used to call this, I used to call it sort of the addiction pentagon. That's a wrong terminology, but Dr. Yuen uses this pentagon for that type of thing. It's like smoking. If you never smoke again, if you smoke a little, if you smoke a lot, if you smoke fast, you smoke slow. So all of those elements, someone could be weak to all those elements that would keep them smoking. They could be other stories too, and their ancestors, karmic, things like that. But it could be something as simple as those 5 things. And very often it is as simple as those 5 things. So that's a pretty good pentagon to use for clearing. So we kind of use this pentagon for the sleeping story. If you never sleep, if you sleep a little, if you sleep a lot, if you fall asleep fast, or if you fall asleep slow, right? So if you think of it that way, you want to be neutral to all of those possibilities. You could be weak to 2 or 3 of them. You could be weak to combinations of them, that type of thing. It could bother you if someone else never sleeps, or takes too long to sleep, or falls asleep fast, or sleeps a lot, or sleeps not at all, So it's not just your energy. It could bother you that somebody else has these things. And maybe it's because you have some karmic issue with people that you woke up, you wouldn't let them sleep, right? You had some experience in a prison camp or something like that. Your job was never to make someone sleep. You're torturing someone, whatever. So that energy would come back to you and make you unable to sleep, as an example. So it's not always your energy, and it's not always when we look at outside, it could be a karmic energy coming from somebody towards you related to this pentagon here, and sleep as an example, right? So that's a kind of an interesting tangent. Chronic means stable, not moving. So when people talk about chronic things, well, we'll just talk about chronic in general. A chronic thing is going to be easier to shift than something that's moving around all the time. People don't believe that, but it actually is true. So just be aware of that when you look at chronic things. When people talk about having something a long time or chronic, it's like a building. It's a lot easier to, let's say if you're demolishing a building, it's a lot easier to demolish a building that's not moving than one that's moving, right? So you're trying to shoot at something that's moving. So so that's my example there. And as we go through the session, and when you work with other people, you may notice that their midline goes weak. So you may need to, in the middle of session, sometimes do a strengthening, because as you do so much work, sometimes the person might need a strengthening. And the wrong answer effect is a pretty strong thing that can be very all-encompassing as a clearing for many, many people. It could have beyond infinite effects. So we did that kind of wrong answer clearing, and it's a very important one when it comes up, and it's going to come up for most people, right? How often are we told wrong answers? I don't know, 50 times a day. So we want to be able to clear the wrong answer weakness as well, right? And we get that from ourselves, and we get that from our ancestors. And our ancestors, it's kind of karmic energy when you think about it. They can deliberately give you a wrong answer, or they could just not know what's going on. So you either have the not know what's going on kind of energy, or you could have the wrong answer energy, or both. You want to clear both of those. And in the medical field, the sands are always shifting anyway. So what's true today, changes, next week, whatever. So there's a lot of kind of wrong answers with diagnosis, and wrong treatment, wrong answers, that kind of thing. So we just clear that. We don't make a big deal about it, right? It's another part of the wrong answers cumulative effect, let's say. And we delete that down to 0 minus infinity. So, and in this case here, the second thing came up is just kind of the expert's energy, having to listen to other people, let's say. So we got a little more specific, and the doctor's just, kind of the symbol of that, right? So we picked we just had the person pick a doctor they didn't like just so we could lasso up all that kind of energy, similar energy. And we want to be neutral to once and done, right? We do a clearing and we don't have to reach back for it. Right? We don't want to recreate. We don't want to have a situation where we have to re-experience something, right? So we want to, once we clear it, we're done with it, we move on. So that's almost the end of the session. One of the things with allergies too, so we're going to bring this right back around to allergies. A lot of the small, when we think of allergies to dust and little things and pollen, these are things you really can't see, so they're kind of hidden from us. So most people that have some kind of allergy symptoms could also have an issue with hiding things, right? Either they have a weakness there, or they don't like it when other people hide things from them, or they hide things from other people. When things are hidden, when things are small, they're kind of hidden. So it brings up all kinds of issues with hiding. So that's what came up here last. It was a big clearing for this person because allergies are kind of hidden, right? The substance, what we think is the substance triggering effect, is really a hidden thing for most people, right? So I just asked the question, as you do in a kind of a session. You kind of know the answer, but you ask them anyway, just to see what they say, just to get a laugh there. So person didn't like it when somebody hid something from them. So, and it was more that if someone just wanted to see them fumble around, it was 1,000 times worse than if they just destroyed it and threw it away. So if you can imagine, if somebody just threw away your keys, this person, it would bother them even more if they just hid them to watch them fumble around than if they just threw them away altogether. So you can ferret that out with numerical profiling in testing. That's how you get the 1,000 times worse here. So those are all kind of interesting, entertaining things to relate to a person when the subject isn't too serious. You want to be kind of a little bit, have a little discernment there. And the second thing that came up is if you hide something and can't find it, and that bothers the person. So let's say they deliberately hid something, but later on they try to find it. It's like, oh, where the heck did I put that? It bothers the heck out of the person. So it's all issues, the umbrella of hiding things, of hidden things, So we want to, as much as possible, clear hidden things, because some of this kind of relates to allergies in general, and the substances, the things that we can't see that bother us. I wrote an article some time ago, Tales of the Insignificant, is something like that. Something that's so small you can't see it as insignificant, and yet it bothers you infinitely. That's a very common block for a lot of people. Tales of the Insignificant, that's another article here. So I'll probably publish this article. I think I'm going to just close out this particular video. It's already 33 minutes. So this is part 3 of allergies. It went off in a few tangents here. And thanks for watching my videos and my channel. Please like, subscribe, and ring the bell and share. And we'll see you in the next video.